There we go. Now you can hear me. You might be able to hear Josh. Wait, there we go. Hold on. All right, Josh. I think we should be good now. Maybe.
Okay, I think you might be right.
Yeah. Yeah, we should be good now. Just making sure we got all the right things. All right.
All right, I think I got my monitor set up as well.
Okay. All right. Let's make sure. Yep. Okay, we're good. Cool. Oh my goodness. Happy Sunday.
Yes, indeed.
It's
Another
how's
another
your
wonderful day.
how's your week?
Busy, but I mean, no different than any other one of my weeks. I feel like I've been going for the last 2 months and uh, not had a chance to stop and smell the roses,
Who
which is
wants to
an
smell
interesting little,
roses? I mean,
yeah.
some of them smell
Well,
good, some don't.
the metaphorical roses.
Oh, okay.
I like.
Not the real ones, the metaphorical ones. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Makes sense.
exactly. I do have roses in my backyard. I mean, none of
There
them
you go. There you
are
go.
growing right are growing or doing their thing right now, but I smell those sometimes,
What
now
what?
and again.
Oh, do you actually go out and
Yeah.
smell them, or do you just let the dog eat them?
Uh, no, well, the gardener picks most of them. Like, and
Nice.
I like, yeah, I think he takes them home to his wife. But every once in a while, I try to get out there uh, but before he does, like, and then give them to I I don't I don't even know what I'd call her at this point. The girl that calls me when she wants something from me, on
Oh,
the
okay.
so
Okay.
I,
It's like,
I
hey,
guess
you want to go
I'm her
eat?
side
You
piece,
want to go out
maybe.
to get something
Yeah,
to eat? Is that what it
yeah,
is? I'm hungry.
yeah, yeah.
That's what we're talking
Well,
about.
like we're not together, but I still like doing nice things for her, like
Oh, so
and
so
and
it's
she likes pretty things.
so it's one of those things. It's like, hey, can you pick me up and take me here and drop me off? It's like it's you got your own. She has her own personal little Uber, and
No,
food delivery
she
and
just shows up when she wants, like when she's not feeling like this avoid, I would call her an avoidant secure attachment type.
there you
Like
go.
she goes into these modes where, and she's like, "Oh, hey, now I want to feel like I'm attached to you in some way." And
Yeah,
then, that lasts for a day or two and then I'm like, "Okay, it was
I think
yeah.
that's basically the same thing as teenage kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that
kind of like they don't want to be around you at all until they need something, and then all of a
right.
sudden they're like, "Hey, what you doing? I
Yeah,
need
or
to
they need
go to my
some
friend's house. Are you going to take
yeah.
me?"
Yeah. Or whatever itch they need scratched, right? Whether it's
Yeah,
emotional, physical, or
yeah.
uh,
It's
whatever it ends
terrible,
up being.
terrible.
Oh, it works for me right
Are
now.
you? Are you? Well, no, I wasn't talking about terrible for you. Just
Yeah,
in general. What's you got Thanksgiving plans? We doing? You
I
doing
do indeed. Yes.
Thanksgiving? You ready for it?
I'm actually stressing about that right now too.
Yep.
Like, so uh, it started with like 4 or 5 friends, and now it's like family and friends, and it's like 20
Oh,
people, and
that's
I'm
gonna be
like
fun.
cooking the turkey, and then somebody added in a prime rib, and
Nice.
you know
Smart. Smart.
everybody else is bringing sides, and then we're trying to decide who's making mashed potatoes, and
That
yeah, so
sounds horrible.
I'm doing all that. I got a turkey. I gotta go out and buy a prime rib probably today or tomorrow,
That
and
sounds like a
then
good time.
yeah. I mean, it will be. Like I said, I just got to get it all planned out and lined up, so I'm not stressing out about it because that's what I'm doing right now. And then
Okay.
like we talked about, I got to help my mom make dinner tonight as well. So now I'm kind of wondering, why do I do this to myself?
Why do
Like
why do we do
what am
any of this stuff to
yeah
ourselves? I mean, seriously.
what am I doing with my life? Like I'm trying to decide if I'm regretting my life choices right now,
Yeah.
and I
That's a
don't have the answer.
constant constant thing. What yeah, no, we're having Thanksgiving maybe Thursday or Friday, depends. We don't know yet. We're trying to figure that out. Depending on the kids and what they got going on. If we want to do it on Thursday or if we want to do it some other time, it's
Yeah. You
hard
got
to
the
tell.
kids for the whole Thanksgiving, or?
No, I get them on Friday. So
Oh,
well,
okay.
that's why it's kind of like, do we just take the day and relax on Thursday and do nothing, and then do all of the stuff on Friday? You know,
That sounds
I mean,
Doing nothing sounds kind of amazing,
it's
right? To me right now.
it's better than going shopping. I would much rather stay home and cook and eat on Friday than whatever they got going on out in the world. Like, much
Yeah.
rather. So
Yeah.
can't
I
complain.
yeah, I feel like if I went out on Friday these days, I would end up fighting someone. Like, maybe not physically, but mentally and emotionally. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's probably more so fighting yourself than anyone else.
yeah,
Like you
that
talk
too.
about regretting life choices. That would
Yeah.
definitely be regrets. I would have regrets doing that.
Yeah. Cyber Monday sounds a lot better to me than Black Friday.
Um, I can agree on that. That's for sure. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But okay, so I guess we jump right into the topic of discussion,
Yeah.
which is I think what were we doing? Some we
Section
were talking
8.
about some document. I know we took a week off,
Yeah.
so I mean I'm kind of
Some document. Yeah.
something we were talking about. Something we had important things to talk about, I think. Oh,
I think
okay,
I
wait a
think
second.
this is pretty important.
Yeah, the
I like to believe it is.
this is the one of the most important parts in the Constitution, because the other parts aren't as important. Um, the powers of
I think
Congress.
they're all intertwined, so they
Yeah.
all end up what I'm discovering for myself is that they're all intertwined in such a way. Like how they all play on each other.
Oh yeah.
It's very elegant. I'll
They
say.
like I've said before. It's like they knew a little bit of what they were doing, just a
Yeah.
skosh. They had an idea.
Well, there was definitely some thought put into it. I had the I was playing with this idea with chat where it was like where Matt and I was doing it in the different sense. I was trying to put myself into the place of the founders and Madison and things like that. And it's like I was thinking about it. And it's like Madison actually pretty much wrote the whole thing, and he had it all mapped out when he got to when he got to the convention. But then he also, to a certain extent, I mean, I know he got really upset and at different parts of the convention where people were disagreeing with his ideas, but he also I think he was also able to put away his ego to a certain extent and let these 30 or 40 other people like have their own ideas and thoughts about it, and then he was able to, like I said, let his ego go enough to where it's like, yeah, okay, my idea wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Let's change this. Let's try to make it better. And the idea that one person came up with this, but then they expanded upon it and expounded upon it, and made it better was, kind of cool. Like, very very interesting, and at least in my head.
Yeah. The overall. I mean, when you look at the goal, you have the Articles of Confederacy, which had no teeth, didn't allow them to really do anything. And then they're realizing, oh crap, we need to actually be able to have some power. To do some things, or else we're gonna have problems. Like this isn't gonna work. We're gonna fail, and it's really gonna be bad.
Yeah,
And the fact that they were able to get this many people together, and over this period of time to be able to come up with all of this stuff and have that many people agree to it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the most impressive part is having all of this put together and then having everybody, like, because all 13 states had to ratify it. All, like, everybody had to agree to this. It wasn't something that, people were pushing over on others. Like, it had to have the compromises necessary to get all of the people on board, essentially. So,
Right. Well,
let's
and that those people saw value in it too, and
yes,
value in the discussion as well, and
yes,
and still wanted to come to the table. That they needed a power structure. They did, but they needed something different, and they needed something with checks and balances.
yes, yes, they did. Um, so this is a very long section. I don't know that we're going to get through all of it today,
Okay.
because we have to look at essentially every single line, and I think rather than read the whole thing, I think maybe we're going to do line by line, just for the simple fact of it's literally a list. Like this section is a list of the powers of Congress. So it is it's literally a bunch of to whatever, to this, to that, to. So, sitting here, I don't know that it makes sense to sit here and read all of it off and then absolutely, not retain any information that we gained out of that. So I think it would be good to go line by line and try to understand, what that power is, and then maybe
Well,
look
maybe
at,
what it was trying to accomplish as well, like what they were
yeah,
trying
the overall, because
for.
when you look at it, they did they split the government into three things. You had the lawmakers, you had the quote unquote interpreters, or enforcers, which is the judicial, and then you had the people who executed the law, which was the executive. So you had the people that made the law, you had the people that executed the law, and then you had the people that interpreted and enforced the law.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be the judiciary. So it's
It was like it was almost like this relational triangle, right? Where and then they were all each point of the triangle was um had had functions that were that played upon the other one. You know, the
yeah,
checks and balances themselves.
yes,
Uh, and there was this back and forth push and pull between the three of them.
yes.
Uh, yeah.
And that was the intent. The intent
Yeah.
was to okay, we need to make it to where one branch doesn't have all the power, is
Right.
essentially what it came down to. So let me
Yeah,
switch over
it was
here.
a central within the power structure. It was a decentralization of the power structure itself.
Yes. All right. Let me.
Yeah, and I think you're right. We need to go kind of line by line as far as okay, well, what was the point of this, and what does it mean for um, how we get things done today?
Yes. Because it's really it's going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one to go through because whether or not we add or remove things, and this is. So I was reading over, our conservative, libertarian, and progressive.
Hmm.
Some of the most changes were in Article 1 were in Section 8. Some of the biggest changes.
Hmm.
So we're gonna have to work through these. Um, Section 8, powers of Congress, and the very first thing is taxes. The ability. So this is the first quote unquote paragraph, or the first thing that they said, that the Congress shall have the power, and this is straight from the Constitution. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay
Duties.
debts, and to provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. but all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. So, what does that mean? And I'll go through this in interpretation real quick. It's a lot because it's kind of hard to. I mean, they did a really good job of summing up the taxation right there in in one sentence, but they did a good job. So under the Articles of Confederation, they lacked Congress had no power whatsoever to protect states from military warfare waged by foreigners, commercial warfare, any of that stuff. They were unable to really do anything as as a as essentially the governing body of these 13 states. They couldn't call people from other states. There was no standing military that they had any power over. They really couldn't do anything. Something was happening in upstate New York, it's not like they were going to say, hey, South Carolina, we need, you guys need to send troops up to New York. And, South Carolina is going to be like, yeah, so here's some sand from the coast, and you need to go pound it. That's essentially what it was. Because they had there was no ability to do anything. They didn't have the power under the Articles of
Mhm.
Confederation. So that's where honestly that's where the Constitution came from. Is they realized that under the Articles of Confederation they couldn't do squat. They really couldn't do anything. Um, but here it is. Arguably the most severe problem facing young nation under Articles was that the national government had no power to tax individuals directly. It had no effective way of raising money at all. Instead, it was limited to requisitioning, which is putting out a. I don't know how many people understand what requisitions are, or what do they call it? RF requisition for quote RFQs, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
They're requesting requesting quotes, but they could ask the states to contribute to the national treasury to repay war debts. So
Thinking bill of materials might be the closest thing in a corporate structure where it's like,
well, they could ask,
hey, yeah, hey, I need this stuff.
yeah, I need this, and everybody could go, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
cool.
It's sort of like what happens in IT in companies. Hey, we need this. Okay,
Yeah. And then the
okay,
CFO looks at you
yeah,
and says, "Do you? Do
yes,
you really?"
yes, yes, I do. So instead, it was they could requisition the states to contribute to repay the Revolutionary War debts to fund the national government. Instead of complying with these requests, the states free rode off the contributions of sister states. The consequences with the national government was severely underfunded, which, among other things, it threatened national security. Because what happens when you can't repay your debts? People come a collecting. And again, it was one of those things that some states were like, okay, well, we don't care. Have at it.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first things that they realized they needed to be able to do they needed to be able to get money. They needed to be able to collect money in some way, shape, or form from everyone. And this is where you have the all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. So whatever the federal government collects, it has to be the same across the board for everyone.
Yeah.
So it can't be, a certain percentage from one state, a certain percentage from another state, a certain percentage from this state. It has to be the same amount across the board. Everybody gets hit the same. Makes sense, right? Can't be playing
Yeah, but it
favorites.
but it does bring up a contradiction in my head though, especially when you talk about individual taxes, where now that, where the way we have it set up now is like, hey, if you hit a certain income bracket, you get taxed more. And not only that, but the idea that capital
It,
is taxed differently
no, 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 no.
than
But
than
this is
income.
this is duties, imposts, and excises. This isn't taxes.
Fair enough.
So they only say that duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform. Taxes, uh-uh.
But aren't taxes duties? at the end of the.
I I don't believe in the way that they are saying it. Here, let's just let's see. Uh, taxes versus duties versus imposts versus what? What was the last one?
Excises.
Let's take a look. Taxes is the general compulsory levy by the government, while duties, imposts, and excises are specific types of taxes. Duties are taxes on imported or exported goods, also called tariffs.
Yeah,
Imposts are
but the
a specific type of duty or import tax, and excises are taxes on goods manufactured or sold within the country, such as on a specific product like gasoline or alcohol.
but I feel like the AI is playing word games to a certain extent, especially when you look at where most income uh, comes from services, and to a certain extent, services are goods. At the end of the day, you're selling a service to an employer, and that service is a resource. It is a good.
So,
Uh,
so here, this is from um, this is based off of Duke University. Their information on the difference between those. Tax is a general term for mandatory financial charge imposed by the government. So that includes everything. Duties are taxes imposed on goods transported across international borders. They are often considered indirect taxes on imported goods. There's your tariffs.
okay.
Imposts specifically refers to tax on imports, often intended to regulate trade and ensure fair competition, though it can also be a source of revenue. The terms duty and impost are often used interchangeably to mean a tax on imported goods. So duties and imposts are essentially the same thing, tariffs. It's international goods coming in
All right. I
or exported.
I'll accept the premise, but I still feel like we're playing word games. I
I
don't
mean,
really
but
want to
hey,
get
we
down to
play
the
word
nitty gritty
games.
of this.
The
Yeah,
Constitution is nothing but word games. Come on now.
I don't disagree with you. And communication in life is a word game to a certain
Yes,
extent too. I mean,
very much so.
especially when you start looking at AI and language learning models and all that stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
I
No, no,
because
no. Go ahead.
and think about the job that we did in incident response. Like we were moving across state lines and we were providing goods to all these companies, like and a lot of times companies themselves that were doing business and had business ventures in different states and sometimes different countries,
Oh yeah.
and and we were providing that service and those goods across that whole thing. And so
Yes.
it's like, okay, does that get regulated by interstate commerce? Like, do we start and like, you know, I
Are
don't
you
know.
are you saying that there are people that operate outside of the intended law? I can't believe you would say those things, Josh.
You you could say I might be implying that.
Okay, so for the purpose of what we're talking about, tax is the general overall. Duties and imposts are essentially tariffs, international goods, stuff that's
Okay,
traveling across international borders, in and
all right.
out, right?
I like I said, I accept the premise that okay, we're talking about tariffs, we're not talking about income.
Okay. And excises would be federally taxed items. They would be levied on the production, sale, or consumption of a specific good within a country, such as tobacco, alcohol, or fuel. So, there's a federal tax on fuel, federal tax on alcohol, federal tax on tobacco, like across the board. All of those things have a federally mandated tax, excise tax. So excises are taxes on specific goods. Duties and imposts are taxes on imports, international imports, and
Mhm.
tax in general. Just a tax is on whatever they want. So in the Constitution, there is only a regulation that has to be uniform throughout the U.S. Duties, imposts, and excises. So any tariffs on coming into the U.S. has to be this was intended. The reason it says it has to be uniform throughout the United States, it means that it can't be cheaper to bring something into a different to a different state than it is to bring it into another.
Right.
You're not charging different
Yeah. You
costs.
can't put your finger on the scale of commerce.
Correct. So that is what that is what the duties, imposts, and excises through our uniform. One state can't be hit with higher taxes on those than others. That was the intent. Just because we have $1 billion of tobacco being produced in South Carolina, North Carolina, and all that, you can't do a tax just on tobacco in this specific state. You can't increase the tax on it from this state versus if somebody tried to put it in to Maryland or Pennsylvania or whatever. Essentially, what we're talking about. All right. So let's see. We got Congress was given the to lay and collect taxes to pay the debts to provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. So they have the ability to lay and collect taxes. That's so they have the ability to do that, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. And we talked about general welfare a lot earlier,
Yeah.
because that was a big thing for us to be talking about. General welfare. What does even general welfare mean? Common defense and general welfare. Those are the two reasons that they are allowed to impose taxes or duties, imposts, or excises. So, Congress was given the
Yeah.
power to lay in any need without any need of assistance from the states. Congress's taxing power was not limited to repayment of the Revolutionary War debts; it was prospective as well. So, here let's see what we got here. So I have so obviously there was some talk. We'll call it talk over the ability to tax. So after the Constitution was ratified, Alexander Hamilton, representing the Federalist Party, James Madison, I think you talked about him, representing the Democratic Republican Party, debated the scope of the taxing clause. According to Hamilton, Congress possessed a robust power to tax and spend, regardless of whether the tax could plausibly be viewed as carrying out another enumerated power of Congress, such as regulating interstate commerce or raising and supporting a military. Madison argued that Congress had no independent power to tax and spend in pursuit of its conception of the general welfare. Rather, Madison continued, the Constitution, the meaning of the phrase general welfare is defined and limited by the specific grants of authority in the rest of Section 8. The Supreme Court did not weigh on this long-standing debate over the scope of the federal taxing and spending powers until 1936, when it sided with Hamilton. Ever since, the law has been that Congress can use the taxing clause without tying such use to another of its constitutional powers. So, Madison argued the only reason that Congress had the ability to tax was to fulfill one of the other things that are in Article 8, right?
Yeah. And I
Hamilton,
do go ahead, sorry.
Hamilton said, no, we can tax for whatever reason we want.
Yeah.
We don't have to have a
Well,
reason to tax. We can just do it.
Well, and Hamilton's over idea is that he wanted to centralize more power
Correct.
at the federal level,
Yep.
and Madison was like, no, like I don't think that's a good idea, and you could debate the merits of that forever, like, and I personally in my head I go back and forth on it all the time. But I do find it incredibly interesting that the Supreme Court didn't decide to weigh in on it until 1936. Especially, I think that's like 25 years after, after they actually changed amended the Constitution for the federal government to allow to allow them to tax the individual rather than tax the state.
Income.
Yeah. And yeah, I wonder if that was the right move, or if it was just, you know, we were, the society was in a different place, sociologically, where it's like, oh yeah, hey, oh, we do need to federalize more power, especially when you're looking at the Great Depression, and how do we solve this problem? How do we get through this? And I wonder if it was more cultural than, and they were actually debating the merits of, hey, is this a good idea long term, or do we just need to solve a problem that we're facing right now? And now we have this. Now we have this precedence in place, and we're not trying to solve for the same problem. We don't have the same data. We don't have the same inputs. We don't have the same variables in place. And now the law of unintended consequences. We've created this longer term problem for a solution that's gone and solved, and now we have this completely different beast.
Yeah. And that's where one of those things of doing a better interpretation, doing a better understanding, a better quote unquote interpretation or wording is going. This is where this needs to come in play.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
like we
think
need better language to, or maybe even new language to
yeah,
to represent like what the meaning is behind this.
yeah. So 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 if you look at the Constitution as a whole, and that's where a lot of this comes into play. The and if you look at this paragraph right here, the constitutional limits on Congress's authority to use taxing clause, it's clearly established that such power is limited by constitutional provisions protecting individual rights. For example, it would undoubtedly violate the free speech clause if Congress taxed people just because they criticized the federal government. So that is one way that they can't tax people. Um, I still think that there is a lot of, and I don't want to say overreach, but when you're talking about interpreting, everybody can interpret things a different way, and that is the fundamental problem. When you look at stuff, you can say, well, I can do this because this is all it says, and well, the law says that I can't, I just can't do this, but that doesn't mean that I can't do these 10 things because they're not specified in that law. It's like, okay, so what you're saying is you want us to go and list out every single situation to where, nope, you can't do that. It's almost like you're it's almost like, hey, don't use your hair dryer in the shower. But it doesn't say I can't. Right. You are right. Okay. Well, let's put that on the label now, so you don't use your hair dryer in the shower.
Right.
Like, but it's one of those things of some people would see that as common sense. Well, one, why are you using a hair dryer when there's water? You know, when your hair's getting wet. Well, my hair's not wet. It's just, I'm just doing my hair while I'm letting the rest of my body rinse. Like,
Yeah, I'm multitasking.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I,
getting things done, and I have my toaster sitting right here on the edge that I'm making my breakfast in.
yeah.
I don't see the
I,
problem here.
I need toast, and I need to wash my body.
That's why I have a stove in my bathroom,
Right.
um, so I can do multiple things while I'm taking my shower and getting ready in the morning. It's those types of things that some people would go, wow, that okay, yeah, no, I don't understand why some people would do that. And other people would look at it and go, that's amazing. That's so smart. You're getting so much more done
Yeah.
in a shorter
Yeah.
period of time because it's all right there.
Yeah. Somebody would want to go on a TED Talk and explain that, like why this, that it's some kind of life hack
Yeah,
that they.
obviously.
Yeah. Well, and in my head, it brings up this idea that language it means, and words mean different things to different people. Like
Correct.
they tease it out differently in their minds, and so there ends up being this discrepancy when we have discussions and we have uh, we have discourse where it's like, oh, okay, well, in my head this word means this, but it means something slightly different to somebody else. When you talk about art, politics, and those words, they mean different things to different people. Um,
It's
just like we had the okay, well, what does duties really mean? Like, how far can you
exactly.
tease that out? How far can you abstract it?
Is that not just stuff that dogs leave on the ground when they poop? Is that not
Right,
duties?
exactly. Yeah.
You know, but what you like one of the things that you like what Madison was saying is like, no, we gave a list of all the things that it could be used for. Like right here,
Yeah.
we gave that list right
Yeah, we
underneath this. Like,
enumerated the list, and that's it. That's all you get. You don't get to enumerate on that list any further.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, they could have put something at the end and or at the end and say these collections of revenue can be used for the following, or can be collected because of these reasons, or like there could have been a. I mean, they probably would have done it more eloquently, but they could have put something at the end, for these reasons, of listing of why they can do that stuff, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So Hamilton argues, well, we have the right to collect, up here it says power
Yeah.
lay collect duty to pay debts and provide common defense and general welfare of the United States. Done. We can collect taxes for any reason that we can fit under common defense and general welfare.
Yeah, he wanted to imply the powers,
Yeah.
and Madison wanted to say that no, because that we didn't specifically enumerate and list the powers.
Yep.
That
Then you
yeah,
can't do it.
that yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And I understand the reasoning behind both. And
Yeah.
it's almost like you have to find in my head I'm now thinking it's like you have to find this balance. You have to find uh uh that yes, there's some things that can be implied, but there's some that can't. And it's almost like, okay, well, who gets to decide that, and who gets the power to decide that, because that's some, in my mind, that's some heavy stuff right there of like, what kind of person do you allow to be able to decide that one way or the other? Because if you let the wrong person decide it,
Well,
you end up in a very bad place.
it's a tribunal. It's
Yeah,
called the Supreme Court.
yeah. Um, but
That's
I
what
look
it.
at like let's put it together in our the problems that we're having in our society today. Do you trust those 9 people to make the right decision? The way they got in power, and they did it through the law and through the Constitution.
But
But
my see, this is my problem. This goes back to the representation of the people. Is 9 people enough? Should 9 people dictate the laws for 340 million people?
well, maybe in my head, dictate is the wrong word. Should they be able to iterate on the existing law?
Well, I
And,
mean,
and should they be able?
they are dictating what the law means. They are making a decision on what the interpretation and the quote unquote enforcement of a law. Those 9 people, they have all of the power to say yes, you can do this, or no, you can't, based on the law. And is that an accurate representation of 340 million people? Is that the proper way to do it? And this is another way you go. They are quote unquote the highest court in the land. So
Yeah.
any laws, whether they are something that is, and a lot of times, they'll say, no, we're not going to look at this. It what the lower court decided is, there's no reason for us to look at this. It's already been, like, it's already done. Like they
Yeah.
will do that.
Yeah. And they're like, it is decided.
Yes, it has already been done. There's nothing
Yeah.
else to be done. There's no reason for us to rehash this.
Yeah.
But then there are some things that they will take and decide. And who decides that?
Right.
Who?
And it ends up being those 9 people. We've seen that.
Yeah,
I think we've seen that 2 or 3 times in at least like the last 5 to 7 years,
yeah,
where they've rehashed something it's like, and it's been incredibly controversial, as to whether it should be rehashed or not. But
hmm
then again, it's like, hey, we voted for all this. We voted to put these people in, and then these people appointed these other people, and so it's like, at the end of the day, did we ask for it? Like,
yeah,
did we get what we deserved?
exactly.
And yeah, um, but I don't know. Then it's like, well, did we get lied to? Did we get did we actually get what we were told we were going to get? And I think in some ways we did, in some ways we didn't.
I think they
Uh,
have they have a Reddit for that, expectation versus reality, I believe is what it's
hmm,
called.
might have to check that out.
Yeah, they have all kinds of stuff on that. So let's jump back this real quick. So
Yeah.
these are some of the court cases that have gone because of this. So more controversial is whether there are internal limits on the taxing clause, whether they may be enforced by the courts. Relatively early in American history, Supreme Court suggested in that case right there, it's McCulloch versus Maryland in 1819, that redress for misuse of the taxing power lies with the political process, where unhappy citizens can vote politicians out of office. Later, the court suggested that courts too may enforce the limits on the taxing clause, and that Congress exceeds its power when it imposes monetary payments that have the primary purpose of regulating people's behavior and not raising revenue, even when Congress labels the payment a tax and not a penalty. That was the child labor tax case, Bailey versus Drexel Furniture, 1922. In more recent times, the court sustained that the constitutionality of required payments just because they raised at least some revenue. That was two cases, Soninsky versus U.S. and United States versus Carragher, so 1937 and 1953. Because decisions from one era deviated from earlier decisions without overruling them, the court's taxing clause jurisprudence was for a long time difficult to sort out. Go figure. So in
Oh, you mean like
2012,
a tax if you don't carry care insurance?
I'm
Like,
almost there. I'm almost there. Come on,
yeah.
you're
I'm sorry. I feel like you buried the lead on that one.
come
I'm
on,
just saying.
man. Come on. So in 2012, NFIB versus Sibelius, I guess, the healthcare case, the court clarified much of the confusion. It rejected a focus on the primary purpose of the required payment at issue, observing that in America, taxes that seek to influence conduct are nothing new. Some of our earliest federal taxes sought to deter the purchase of imported manufactured goods in order to foster growth of the domestic industry. That sounds familiar. Instead of
Hmm.
asking about the primary purpose of the required payment, the court adopted a functional approach and made whether the payment was a tax or a penalty turn on the practical characteristics and likely other effects of payment. So, specifically, the court held that the so called individual mandate in the federal health care law, the requirement to either obtain health insurance or to make a payment to the federal government, was within the scope of the taxing clause, even though Congress labeled the payment as a penalty and not a tax, primarily because it was likely to have a relatively modest impact on people's behavior. The court reasoned that the required payment would likely discourage people from going without insurance without preventing them from doing so, which is why it was expected to raise several $billion in revenue each year. The court holding the NFIB on the scope of the taxing clause is today the law of the land. So,
Oh shit.
what was that? What was that? I'm sorry,
Nah. Yeah,
I
I
didn't
had
catch
something
that.
stuck in my throat.
You had something stuck in your throat, did you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, just a little something.
little something. Had to
Yeah,
hack it out of there. Yeah.
yeah. It's gone now. I got it.
So essentially, Congress is allowed to create laws that that are penalties to the individual because it was likely to have a relatively modest impact on people's behavior, not a critical impact, just a modest.
Yeah, you know,
And it would
just
raise several $billion in revenue.
yeah. And who gets to decide what's modest and what's not? And
Nine
because
people.
modesty and modesty when it comes to income and resources means very different things to a varying degree of people.
Nine people.
Eh, yeah,
9 people get to represent the populace,
yeah. And those people
or
that
maybe
had
not.
well, and especially when you think about um the way those people have been extricated and abstracted from the average person in society. They have no idea what the average person goes through on any given day to make sure that their family is fed, cared for, taken care of, or even an individual what they have to do go through to meet that level, that hierarchy of those needs. And so it's like, oh, okay, modest to who? Um, that $600 tax or that levy is just like, uh, bro, like you should not be the one deciding this. Uh, that's my thought at the end of the day. But we are where we are.
I mean, there's another look by about the ACA, uh, and it goes into a little more detail about this. The ACA. I'm not going to go over it. I'm not. Gonna, we're not going to.
Yeah.
But
I mean, and there's plenty of other examples.
there
The
tons.
states tax tobacco. They like behavior is taxed all over the place.
Yeah,
Is it like
alcohol.
yeah,
Fuel,
uh,
tobacco, like you
yeah,
said.
yeah, and it's like oh well you don't have to drive, and it's like you don't, like
No, you
because
don't.
yeah, because public transportation is so readily available in this country, like
Yes. Well, I
throughout.
mean, now you got Uber. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
Uber and Lyft. You can get anywhere you need to
yeah,
go.
and that's not pricey, and then
That
that person that's Ubering you has to drive.
that's not a
You
tax
know,
at all. What are you
yeah.
talking about? I don't understand.
Yeah. Uh, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Like, yeah.
You don't get you're not being taxed or getting a penalty because you don't do a particular thing. Like you don't get fined for not having car insurance if you don't have car insurance for your car. That's not a
Yeah.
penalty or a tax.
Well, and it's not an incentive for the lobbyist that works for a car, for an insurance company where people are forced into uh, getting said insurance and
Hmm.
and basically automatically guarantees that insurance company revenue.
Correct.
Uh, re- yeah.
Yeah. No, no, it's so we talked about the tax, the very first statement, which is the ability to lay taxes. I want to jump over to the conservative constitution, the libertarian and progressive, and see what it
Do
said,
it.
what it has for that first sentence. If it doesn't have the tax clause right there in the front, we're just gonna skip, but we'll take a look here. So this is the conservative constitution, and this is what it says: the Congress shall have the power to
Can you
lay
zoom
and
in a little
collect
bit on that,
taxes.
Matt?
Go
Because
ahead.
I'm struggling. I'm getting old.
You're getting old.
Yeah, and like just
Every
make the
day.
the text a little bit bigger.
Every day. You're getting older and older.
Yeah,
Here, wait a second. Okay, I'll make it bigger. Can you see better now?
that's what
Is
she
it
said.
is it getting better?
No,
It's,
it's
it's getting it's
not.
getting larger. I mean, I'm zooming in.
Yeah, I hate you.
Are you? Are you? Can you see it now?
That's amazing, actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here, let's do that. Well, no, I don't want to go that. That's too far. Okay. So, to lay and collect taxes for the purpose of paying the debts and providing for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all taxes, oh, okay. So here you go. And we talked about this. We talked about this in detail. All taxes shall be uniform throughout the United States. Okay, so the conservative one says all taxes, period, across the board, they have to be uniform. And Congress shall not lay any capitation tax, tax on sales, or tax on real or personal property which revenue sources are reserved to the states. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay.
Let's
There's
get
a
into
song
it.
in there somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
So if we look at this, what the conservative constitution, what they want to do is all taxes, period, not duties, or like they are covering all taxes that the federal government lays shall be uniform for everyone. Taxes, period. And Congress shall not lay any capitation tax. What do you know what that is?
I'm thinking in my head, are we talking about capital for the individual tax, or capital tax? Um,
I would like to know what other places
yeah.
you think besides your head.
Well, I mean, what
The
I'm
fact
trying
that
to
you
do here is
specified.
I'm trying to speak for myself rather than speak for more than just my own personal space, I suppose.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just wondering because when you said I'm thinking in my head,
Well, well,
what are
because
the other mediums that you think in?
well, that's an interesting thing. You know, we can talk about that for a long, long time. Uh, Especially all the work I've been doing in the computer science space and thinking about layers of abstraction and
Oh,
different
wow.
things, and like okay, well, how do I think about this, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
yeah. Um,
Think
but
in your
I
fingers.
don't think that this is the space for that right now. Like,
Yeah.
I
No. No. Definitely not. Let's get back into taxes here. This is
yeah.
definitely not the space to talk about how we think. Okay.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, like, because we could start meditating and then and we could go into that and just
so
go off on a complete tangent and just take this thing off the rails.
yeah,
I'm
we
just
could.
saying.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's a different podcast or different stream though.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll end up on that podcast someday. Who knows?
So a capitation tax, also known as a head tax or poll tax, is a uniform fixed amount tax levied on every individual taxpayer, regardless of their income, property ownership, or financial situation. So, capitation tax is essentially a fixed tax on each individual.
But they're saying that, but in their thing, they said no capitation tax,
Correct.
right?
Yes. That the
Okay.
federal government cannot lay any capitation, tax on sales, or tax on real or personal property, which revenue sources are reserved from the state for the states.
Okay.
So
So
essentially,
you can't tax the individual, is what they're saying.
you can't, to an extent, you can't lay a flat fixed tax on an individual.
But can you then they're saying, okay, well, can you lay down a ladder tax, like a not a ladder tax, but um, what's the word I'm looking for?
No,
Like, where it's or like a bracket tax,
no, you can do a bracket tax because it's not based on wealth. It doesn't.
but isn't a bracket
It
tax
is a
based on wealth
It is
by
no, yes,
design?
but what a capitation, also known as a head tax, is it's a flat tax. Essentially, it's a fixed tax on each person.
Yeah,
Like you have to
yeah.
pay
So
this
every
amount no
person
matter
gets
what.
taxed at 8% of some 8% of something, 8% of resources, 8% of wealth, 8% of whatever it ends up being, whatever you decide,
Yeah,
right? Whatever
I think this is
whatever the input parameter is.
yeah. So I think it's not an income tax is what it's not.
Yeah.
What they're it is. Let's see. Seattle City Council briefly adopted a business head tax, but repealed it. Targeting employees of specific business. Yeah, essentially, they're saying the federal government can't do it, but the states can. That this
Okay.
type of revenue generation is reserved for the states. It does
Yeah.
not get rid of income tax.
Okay.
but it doesn't have a okay. So, and it can't do it. You can't have a federal sales tax, and there's no property or personal property taxes. Which I don't think that we don't do the federal government doesn't do that right now. I think this is one of those things where they were clarifying, like
Okay.
to where the federal government can't tax sales. There's no the federal
Yeah.
government can't do a flat like, hey, we're going to do 1% of all sales for all the states. There's a 1%. Like
Which,
it's almost regulating the government to only do income tax,
yeah.
just about.
Okay.
Um, which okay. So I don't.
So they're just making a clarification.
Yeah,
All right.
and but they removed the thing to where all taxes should be uniform. Period. Like there isn't an exclusion, an inclusion or an exclusion, and they essentially got rid of all of the duties, imports, whatever. They say all taxes. They have so Congress has the ability to lay any kind of taxes that they want, and they have to be uniform throughout the United States. I don't. I don't know that it changes much from where we are. I think that's kind of what they already do to an extent.
Right.
Um, I wonder. Okay, so let's.
Maybe they're trying their future planning where it's like where they thought maybe that's where the federal government was going to head,
Yeah,
and
it might be. Let's see if they. Okay. Okay, so here's what they say. The first clause of Section 9. This is Section 9 in the conservative one because remember, we had that extra section for impeachment, so it bumped everything down. Section 8
Mhm.
in the conservative one was the last one we reviewed. And so this is 9 and 10 are, are what we're going to be going through for the conservative one. Okay, so for the purpose of paying debts and providing common and general welfare, this clarifies that the parallel clause in the current Constitution is not actually two powers to both to tax and to spend, which is the current understanding, but is rather one power, the power to tax for certain purposes. So that's where they combined it,
Gotcha.
and this would be essentially they're going back to Madison versus Hamilton. They're saying tax for certain purposes. So they're
Mhm.
siding. So the conservative Constitution is siding with Madison. Would be
Yeah.
my rather than
Yeah.
the other way.
It's basically almost taking it back to okay, you can tax, but you have to have a reason for it.
Yeah. So the first clause also eliminates the concept of direct taxes, which no one really understands. The current Constitution requires that direct taxes be apportioned among the states according to their respective populations. Where was that? I'm guessing that's further down. We haven't got to it. The clause instead provides
It's
that
in
Congress
the.
shall not lay any capitation. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I think it's in the 17th Amendment. I think
The
that's where they.
yeah, when the IRS and all of that stuff to be able to do direct taxes.
Yeah. I
Congress shall not
think.
lay any capitation, tax on sales, tax on real or personal property, which revenue sources are reserved to the states. So already noted, we limit the national. Okay, yeah. So this is an interesting one, and I don't know if we include it now, but in the conservative constitution, they also limit the national debt to no more than 50% of the GDP. Though it's eliminated during declared wars and emergencies, the 50% cap was chosen by looking at historical rates. Between 1960 and 85, the ratio was between 30 and 40%. The ratio hovered at 60% for most of the 90s and the 2000s. It only jumped in 2008 and has been sitting at over 100% for several years.
That's wild, dude. I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, we
crazy.
our debt is well over our GDP right now. Yeah, it's bad.
Wow.
Okay, let's jump back down. Article section 9. Okay, yeah. See, and here's to borrow money on the to borrow money on the credit of the United States, provided the public debt of the United States shall not exceed 50% of the GDP as defined by law, except during declared war or emergency, as provided herein. So they put that right in the Constitution.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's probably something that the founding fathers never, like, they probably never even thought about. Wasn't
Well, yeah,
so?
I don't think because when you think about that, a person with any kind of common sense or business acumen would look at that and say, okay, there's no way that we can sustain this. There's
Yeah.
no um, there's no way that we could keep this going at any rate to where it wouldn't fall apart at some point.
Yeah.
But that's not those aren't the kinds of people that I feel like we put in power these days, or anything that the average person thinks about, or like where you and I are looking at that and it's like well over 100%, and it's like okay, this is going to fall apart at some point.
Yeah.
We've out the debt has far outstripped our ability to grow,
Well,
and
go ahead.
go ahead. And then I was just going to say, and it's like where um, the idea in my mind part of the idea of this would be okay, well we need to grow the GDP at an exponential rate, but it's like how do you do that, how do you to outstrip the debt.
That's easy. Give more money to
Yeah,
the people to spend.
yeah, yeah, infuse more money into the economy,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happens, right? And then you're in the situation that we're in now where you have 7 or
No,
8% inflation year
no, no,
over
no,
year.
no, 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 no. See, you got to take away the money that people are hoarding, and give that money to the people that don't have any money, so that they spend more money, so you have more overall. That's how you increase your GDP.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that statement, but it's like okay, then I wonder, okay, who gets to handle that distribution, and is it handled equitably?
Well, obviously
You
not.
know?
I mean, we
Yeah,
give it all to one person. Come on.
yeah,
We go find Bill down down at the 7-Eleven, standing outside. Say,
yeah,
hey, Bill, here's $2 trillion. Go
yeah.
spend it, buddy.
Go go ham, like
Have at it.
enjoy yourself.
Have at it. Just, just
No. What's that line from Parks and Rec? Treat yourself.
yes. Treat yourself.
Yeah,
Hey, go get an ice cream.
yeah,
You got the money now.
yeah,
Um, I'll tell you what. Get two.
yeah. You know what? Just eat as much ice cream as you want. I don't
Yeah.
care.
I
Like
mean,
maybe get a gym membership with the ice cream. Maybe do that too.
that way you can eat more ice cream.
Exactly.
You got to burn off those ice cream
And
calories.
treat yourself even more.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that was the conservative. So I understand. I mean, and this is an interesting clause, the 50% GDP. I mean, that puts quite a limit on what people can do. Would that stifle growth? Would that cause the a bit? Would it be good or bad? Like it could go, either way.
Yeah.
I think 50% is a good number, but you know, what is it going to be bad? Is it going to make it to where it's going to take longer for us to grow and for us not to be able to prosper for whatever reason? Those types of things. But let's do the libertarian. Let's see what they have here. Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. The libertarian constitution really does love to stick with the original wording.
It
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 really
does
does.
indeed.
The purpose of such here you go again. They're talking about the limiting.
Yeah.
So this is where we get into what's not in the original Constitution. The purpose of such measures is limited to paying the debts and providing for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But the general
Excuse me.
welfare should not be construed to refer to the specific welfare of any particular group or individual. Interesting. And all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. There's some interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting language for sure.
So the original is to pay the debt, to pay the debts and provide the common defense. Okay, so Congress shall have the power to do these things to pay the debts and provide the common defense and general welfare of the United States. And libertarian is Congress shall have the power to legislate. The purpose of such measures is limited. So this says rather than just so that right there is the two in the original. They clarified the purpose of such measures is limited to paying the debts and providing the common defense of the general welfare of the United States. So again, they're going Madison rather than Hamilton.
Yeah.
They're siding with Madison. But general welfare should not be construed to refer to a specific welfare of any particular group of individual. So, where does so it means to everyone? You can't. I wonder what kind of impact that would have. Let's let's run up here. Section which grants certain powers. This is where we made the most changes. Oh, wow. They made the most changes in Section 8. Go figure. We specified the general welfare clause actually refers to the general as opposed to parochial or specific welfare. It still doesn't define what they mean by that. Because I would imagine Social Security.
Yeah, that's a pretty specific.
I mean, that would be an argument like, well, it's not to one person. It is the general welfare. It's to everyone. If you
Yeah,
work, it goes to everyone. There's not a specific thing.
but
But then there's parts of Social Security like disability.
well, and not only that, but you just uh, uh, you made an if statement on the generality of Social Security itself. What if you don't work?
Correct.
What if you spend your life in the welfare system, like or that
Again,
you know,
disability.
or you live off someone else's capital your entire
Yes.
life.
If you quote unquote, if you have a homemaker that doesn't generate any, okay, I don't want to say generate. If they don't work for a company or business that they get a W 2 or get
Yeah,
this information gets reported, if they don't pay taxes to the government, then would they be included in that? It has to be for everyone. It can't be just one. So this is where you're going to get into a lot of, well, what is general?
hmm
Okay, so I want to look up this word just because
yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I'm trying to wrap my brain around parochial
church.
or
That's what I thought.
uh,
Church. Relating to a church parish or having a limited or narrow outlook or scope. Relating to church parish or more commonly having a narrow-minded or limited outlook. I still don't understand how that is to the general as opposed to the limited or narrow or specific welfare. Again, not defined. What does it mean? Like
yeah,
they
and
meant it for a specific reason, but they don't give those specific reasons.
yeah, and and I feel like parochial should have a broader definition, especially the way that the way that institutions crop up today in our society, where you look at NGOs or you look at interest groups, um, and the way that they become religious in a lot of different ways,
Yeah,
where yeah, because I don't think it should just be religions. It should be any special interest group.
yeah.
Um,
So, but again, so you're talking about a very quote unquote limiting clause that could be argued quite a bit about. Okay, so it's the general welfare, so it has to be for everyone. It can't
yeah,
be for a specific group. Like, and then you say, okay, well, okay, so farmers can't get tax breaks.
yeah,
That's a specific
um,
group, right?
yeah. Corporations can't get tax
corporation, yeah,
breaks.
any specific group of people, anything that does not benefit the entire populace,
Yeah.
which again, I don't like. How are you
Well, and
going?
then
What do we do
you can
now
argue that.
that does that?
Yeah, but then you could argue that too, because it's like, okay, well, this special interest group or this corporation represents a group of people, and that group of people has a mission to generate wealth, to create new things that better society as a whole, and so then by proxy they benefit the entire the entire group, the entire
The populace, the general welfare,
yeah,
the
the
general welfare.
populace. And then you take that and you drill down on it, and then it can mean anything.
And well, okay, here we're gonna do this one. Cancer research.
Yeah, because anyone could get cancer.
Is it
Like
general,
yeah.
or is it
Well,
just cancer patients? Who are you benefiting?
yeah,
These are the weird type of arguments that someone could. Well, it's going to benefit the overall population because it's going to help a lot of people, but is it going to help everyone? Like, is it general enough? And
well,
that's we've gone through this with a lot of these different sections. Wherever when they try to be concise and limiting, and they put these specific words in here, it actually causes more harm than good a lot of the times.
well, and like going back to your example, I mean, we could get an oncologist to figure not expand upon this, but like to clarify this. But I think every single human on this earth is a potential cancer patient.
Yeah,
Just genetically, like it can happen to anyone.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, so in my head, cancer research benefits everyone. It,
No, it just benefits cancer patients.
yeah, but yeah,
Okay. So, but you have to.
every single person is a potential cancer patient.
So wait a second.
Yeah,
So we have to target all cancers. We can't
that
do
too.
specific cancer research. We can't do
Yeah,
pancreatic cancer because that's limiting the scope. That's narrowing the scope.
yeah,
So,
right. But like, and I'm being sort of facetious, and I'm trying to have some fun here.
oh
But
yeah,
like I think me personally, I think that breast cancer should be the focus, because those things are amazing. Like so. Like, and I feel like that has the most benefit towards society, like as a whole, because man,
uh, okay.
those
I'm
things are
not
the
going to
best.
disagree with you, but that is, and you could argue, someone could argue that that benefits only a certain part of the population. And
Yeah,
then no, but you got the other side that says no, 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 it benefits all of the population.
yeah. Well, and you take that and you tease it out, you abstract it, right? It's like, okay, well, hey, uh, maybe guys like breasts more than girls, depending upon your proclivities,
It's,
whatever it is.
but I mean,
But then,
you can't
you
eliminate the
know,
girls.
you know,
Girls,
yeah,
I mean,
no,
I'm
you
not going to
can't.
say the
But like,
girls don't like them.
yeah, that's true. But does it create, does it increase the overall happiness
The general welfare,
or general
general.
welfare of
I don't know. Does it?
society as a whole? Like
There's
if
obviously
God,
going to be people that don't like them at all. If you have
yeah,
people that really like them, you have the other side of the spectrum.
yeah, true. But if I'm more happy because
Well, see,
there's more bread,
now we're saying
yeah,
I and
there's
me.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
no, we can't do that.
hear me out here. Like hold my beer.
Oh, just wait a second. Let me extrapolate.
Yeah, and and I'm more happy, and then I generate, like I go out and I create more happiness amongst my group,
Hmm, hmm,
and then
hmm,
that extrapolates, and I generate more wealth, I generate more resources, and
hmm,
then that has an overall good
hmm.
on all of society, because that you talk about the ripple effect and the way that goes down, and hey, now it's for everybody. Nailed it.
I, I just want
Don't
to.
even try to argue with me, bro. Like I'm right. Like
I
like
just want to.
I, my there is no hole that you could poke in that argument right there.
I just want to. That's kind of the face I want to give you right now.
Yeah.
It's just it's the sloth face,
Yeah.
my little squirrel. No, I don't disagree with you. I think that, but there's a lot of things that could overall help the general welfare that might work in some places, but not in others. So I guess what it comes down to is whenever you put a limiting statement in there saying that any particular group or individual, you're going to cause arguments over, well, can you limit it to a particular group
Yeah.
or an individual, like whatever it is that you're trying, like specific welfare. Again, I mean, a big thing right now are farmer subsidies. Farmer
Yeah.
subsidies help keep farms alive here, so that is specific welfare to a particular group.
Yeah.
So
And
farmer
it
subsidies are gone under the Libertarian Constitution.
right. And anytime you set conditions on any type of welfare, any part of it, like this statement eliminates it. I mean,
Pretty much.
and
Well, I mean,
yeah,
no, what you could do under this, right? Universal basic income.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what you would have to do.
and maybe that's the goal. And you and I don't know if you're gonna like you and I have talked about it offline, but I don't think we specifically talked about it uh in the pot in the stream or the podcast
Yeah,
itself. And because I like the more and more I think about it, I think that's the end game
yeah.
where it's like where everybody gets a floor, everybody eh, everybody gets a certain amount
Might be a dirt
of
floor,
resource.
but you get a floor.
Yeah.
You don't get
Yeah,
a nice
and
bamboo.
there's no questions asked.
Yeah.
There's no box to check. There like
Yep.
yeah,
And to be honest with you,
there's no if you do this, then you get
yeah,
that.
no, and that's something that I agree with because you take away all the there's no more prejudice that's in it. Like,
Yeah,
oh well, we're going to give you this because of this reason,
yeah,
and that is what they're trying to go. There's no more of that. Oh well, you get help, you get help, you get help. Fuck you, or sorry, screw you, screw you, screw you. Like, the, and I understand it. I get it. Yeah, I know. I'm terrible, but it's and I get that. But what that does is, even Social Security goes away because you're
yeah,
talking about Social Security for retired people. That's a particular group or individual. So
yeah.
you get rid of SSI, but then
Well, you
you'd
get
have
rid of
to replace it
Medicare.
with something for everyone, which would be a UBI, Universal
Yeah,
Basic Income.
yeah. You would have to take Social Security and you would have to roll it up into the UBI, and the same
Correct.
thing with Medicare too.
Yep.
And you'd have to figure all that out as well.
But again, you know what this allows for? Universal health care.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
And it's
and
really
in my
funny from a libertarian standpoint.
yeah, where they're like, I want less government in my life,
Yeah.
but no,
UBI.
but I want these things for free too.
Universal health care.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's not free. We're paying for it. I hate when people
yeah,
say I want this for free. You're not. It's not free, man. It's still coming out of
no,
your paycheck, but it's
yeah,
sorry. You're still
yeah,
paying for it. You're just not paying as much. You're getting a
yeah.
discount. You're getting a sweet, sweet discount.
Well, it's almost like you're paying for the availability, right?
Yeah.
At least with healthcare itself,
Yep.
right?
It.
Um, it, and the other thing I feel like it does is it removes the complexity of the system itself. It's like there's no person or people or group that sits there and says, well, you get this and you don't.
Yep.
And like you said, it removes the bias.
Yeah.
Like where you have some woman sitting there in Mississippi that works for a social service that looks at one situation and on a personal level she agrees with what that person is going through, but then she looks at a completely different situation, has no empathy or sympathy for it, and then decides that they don't get what
I'm and what do you say? I'm gonna reverse that
they
on
need.
you. I'm they look at one person and they have empathy towards their situation, but they can't do anything because the law says
Yeah.
that you can't, that I can't give you anything.
Like, I want to help you, but I can't.
Exactly. And then it goes the other side. It's like, I don't want to help you, but you're getting this stuff because you meet these requirements, even though I know that this is BS.
Yeah.
So it goes, it's both ways. I mean, you can't, you're, and that's, I like this part about it
Yeah.
because it levels the playing field, which is a libertarian quote unquote way. The libertarian way is everybody gets the same, nobody gets special treatment. So yes, your farmers lose all of their subsidies. You lose other things like the tax credits for being a green home or using whatever, like all of those tax credits for different things, EVs or all of that stuff. You lose all of that stuff. You lose subsidies that help bring other people. But what you do is you would have to replace them with a full across the board. Everybody gets the same thing. Done.
Yeah.
Like that's what
Yeah.
it would be. So you would leave the only possibility you would leave open would be for a UBI or universal health care. Or so I mean there's very targeted things that you would be able to do with it, and it would work
Yeah.
under the libertarian constitution.
Yeah. Universal legal representation is another thing that I'm thinking of.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
Housing for
and
all.
yeah, and I think it would cause its own set of problems. Like I said, when you want to create subsidies for farmers and for electric vehicles, I think because when I look at stuff like that on its face, I was like, yeah, okay, this makes sense. This is a good idea. We need more electric vehicles. We need better ways to manage our resources and to have a more clean environment and how we generate our power and how it gets used.
Yeah, I mean
And,
get more EVs on the
and we
road
need
so you can have more coal plants.
yeah, right, exactly. I mean, you knew where I was going with
Sorry.
that. Why? Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're fine.
It's,
but,
but I mean
way to stick it to me, by the way. Yeah, you win this one.
but it's no, but and that's the unfortunate part about it is okay, so we get more EVs on the road. So you need better electrical infrastructure. Fantastic. Good, great on that. You need better, generation of but you're not limiting the ability to generate that power. So, well, we
Yeah,
need more coal plants for the quick boost in electricity. Like we can fire those up and in a matter of, less than an hour we can have, we can turn on those coal plants.
yeah. But what does that mean for the environment? What does it
Yeah.
mean for society long term?
Is that better? Is regulating one coal plant and the
Yeah.
pollution that comes from that easier than regulating, car industries to where somebody can or cannot, maybe cut off their muffler
Yeah. Or I mean,
or the catalytic converter?
even extract that another layer. Let's say we run out of coal, or we can't find the coal. Do we start burning wood, and then
No,
and then
we import.
or we start
Come
chopping
on,
down on all the trees?
come on, we import.
Uh, yeah.
Come
Oh
on,
well,
get
yeah,
that.
and then we put the problem on somebody else's
Correct.
on somebody else's plate.
No, we
Like,
don't put the problem on their plate. We put money on their plate. Come on. Get it right, Josh. We give money to other countries. That's how we do it.
right.
Jeez.
Right, and then they go look at that and like, hey, we got coal, like, and then we don't have the same we don't have the same rights and the same
Yeah. So
bounds
you're
and bounds.
so are you transferring the thing? So the original thing that your intention was is to have people get electric cars to the reason would be to eliminate the pollution. Like that would be the reason you give these subsidies. Well,
Yeah,
okay. Either that or because you want to make somebody that is producing these electric vehicles a lot of money because they're getting all of this money from the government so that they can build these electric vehicles because it's better for the environment. And
yeah,
then eventually it turns around and now you're importing coal from a country that has no environmental regulations that can get you this coal really cheap, and it's cheaper to harvest the coal halfway across the world, to pay to ship it halfway across the world, to then truck it halfway across the United States to burn it in a environmentally quote unquote regulated Power plant.
or extracted another layer. Let's say and you build electrical lines across the, and you bury them under the ocean, or not bury them, but you sink them under the ocean, and then you have them build the plants and generate the coal, and then
You burn
all
it
you
over
get
there.
is the
Yeah.
yeah, and then it gets burned over there, and
Yeah.
then
So that way the
you get
pollution
it.
stays over there. Yeah. We
Yeah,
stay clean.
exactly. And then like I said, you
I think they
export
did
the
this. I think they.
you export the problem, at
They,
least for 50 or 60 years, until the whole thing falls apart, and
I think they
the
did something
generation of
like this.
carbon.
Yeah, they did something
Yeah,
like this in a movie, I believe. They had sort of like rings to where the all of the rich people lived in the inner rings, and all the people that did all the manual labor and had all the
yeah.
pollution and had all the problems were on the outer. Yeah,
Well,
something.
how do we get that party started? Like, and as long as we end up on the inner ring, we're good, man. Like,
Oh,
we're
is that
golden.
how it works? You just have to
Yeah,
be on the inner ring. Oh, okay, I got
yeah,
it. See,
yeah,
I was confused as far as how
yeah.
that worked.
Well,
Just don't be
well,
on
and
the outer rings. I don't understand what you're talking about.
yeah, like I don't see what your problem is.
Don't
Like
wait a
I,
second.
I
How did it?
I don't get why I don't get why you people on the outer rings are all upset.
Oh, what do they call them? There's a movie. There's a show. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the people that harvest asteroids. Belters. There you go.
Oh, The
The
Expanse.
Expanse. Yes. So
Yeah,
you
I love
just
that show.
yeah. So you just got to get the Belters to harvest
Yeah,
all of the asteroids and do all the dirty work, so that all of the rich people can yeah.
yeah,
Again, it's
makes
just
sense to me.
unfortunate that those people were born into what they have to do.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
and and then you just have to somehow justify it in your head as to why those people deserve to have that life and you deserve to have a
Well,
better one.
see, unfortunately, we can't give general welfare to any particular group or individual. So you're
But
screwed.
we can definitely take it
Sorry.
away. Like like
We are terrible people. I just want to let you know. Okay, so moving on to the progressive constitution. So what are your thoughts? What do you think that this is going to be? I'm interested to see
progressive.
the progressive constitution. Like, what are they going to be like? Oh, we can tax and we can take all the monies. You think that's what it's going to be?
No, I don't think it's going to be that because I'm trying to think of, okay, because I'm progressive I like to think that I'm progressive in a lot of different ways, and it's like,
Okay.
okay, so and in a progressive mindset, you're like, okay, well, how how do we decentralize power, but we still um, but we can collect enough wealth and then distribute it back to create more general welfare. I think it's going to be something along those lines, and I haven't really thought about this too much. I mean, I, it's interesting to me in the sense that I'm even thinking along these lines, but I think that they would try to do something like that, where it's like, okay, well, we're going to centralize the wealth, but decentralize the power somehow. Um, if that makes sense, or am I trying to glorify it,
I
like
mean,
what they're trying to do?
you're saying a lot of stuff there, and I don't think that they have any of that stuff in here. But we'll
No.
see here. So,
Okay.
so the progressive constitution, they don't even start off with taxes. Congress shall have
Uh-huh.
the power to investigate all matters and conditions relating to or in furtherance of its constitutional powers. That's interesting.
Huh. That's like that. You know what that just reminded me of? It's a recursive function in computer science, where
Yeah,
you build a function and you build a base case, and then the function calls itself over and over again to find the answer to the base case.
makes
And
sense.
yeah, and, and I feel like that's what they literally just said in that first statement. I was like, hey, we're gonna extrapolate on ourselves so we can find the answer to government and policy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look and see what they said about this, but yeah, the Congress shall have the power to investigate all matters and conditions relating to or in furtherance of its constitutional powers. Shall have the power to investigate all matters and conditions relating. They okay. I don't investigate just means investigate. It doesn't mean you have the power, the authority to do anything. You just have the power to look into things. You just have the power to
Sure.
figure things out, essentially, and to investigate the workings of all branches of government. So I guess that gives them. I think that this is something like the oversight committees. If you look at the
Right.
oversight in Congress currently, I think this just it just specifies that they have the power to do this. They have the
But
power to investigate all matters and conditions relating to its constitutional powers and investigate the workings of all branches of government. That
okay,
is a little.
but but think about it. Take that a step further and say, okay, hey, well, the oversight committee came back with this investigation, and here were their findings. But we're a little curious about those findings. So now we need to investigate the oversight committee to understand. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Oh no,
Like,
no, no! I
yeah,
understand.
and understand like how did
Who
they
who watches the
perform this
watchers?
investigation? Yeah, and then you keep that going, and then it's like, okay, well, like we liked or we didn't like these findings, so let's extrapolate that. Let's look at the investigation of the investigation, and it becomes this meta layer of government where it's like, what in the actual are we doing here?
Yeah. So let's.
And I'm not saying that was their intention, but that's like the wording to me leaves room to be able to do that. And they don't even they're not even limited to their own oversight committees or their branch of government. They can do that in any branch of government.
Correct.
Yeah, where it's like, well, what does the Supreme Court even mean? Like we need to investigate like what that what that implies and how that gets how that power gets enforced on the people and it just keeps going forever. Like the like we're in a government version of the movie Inception.
Something like that. Yeah. I'm trying to. Okay. So this might be the. Okay. Okay. Yeah. This is where it is. Okay. The framers envisioned a constitutional system in which the different branches of government would police one another. As James Madison famously wrote, ambition must be made to counteract ambition. But unfortunately, they did not foresee the rise of parties and a national party discipline, which has elevated party identification over institutional loyalty and significantly undercut the efficacy of checks and balances, which is true because
Yeah.
if you have one party, they're all going to try to to make
Well,
our
I think it's the loss of civic virtue
yeah
as well.
to make our system better to ensure the law of each branch. We have made several changes. Okay, strengthen and clarify the standard for impeachment. Making it clear the president doesn't need to commit a statutory crime. Yeah, we looked at that stuff. Impeachments as a necessary complement. Congress's oversight authority over the executive branch must be made more explicit to ensure it can effectively police wrongdoing in program administration or otherwise. An integral part of its legislative power, which requires information and testimony from administration officials, which I find hilarious because anytime that they've done it recently, essentially those officials don't say anything. They
It's a dog and pony show.
yeah. And to ensure the law enforcement power of the federal government is not abused for partisan gain, the Attorney General must receive the votes of 2/3 of senators to be confirmed. Our system has been shown. Over the course of our history, Congress has become increasingly incapable of legislating to address national problems. There have been times of great legislative accomplishment. Increasingly, extreme partisanship has made this important work extremely difficult. This draft clarifies that Congress shall have the authority to legislate for the general welfare when such action is okay. So this is a little bit further down. Um, okay, all right. So if we go back to, oh my goodness, where are we at here? Section 8, the powers of Congress. And if we look here, so this is the power to investigate all matters. So they essentially codify it, even though they already do it. They're just putting it in there to where it says that they have the power, so nobody can argue whether or not they have the power to do this, or whether or not they should participate. But this is
Everything in my head says that this is a bad idea.
well,
Like,
somebody
and,
again who watches the watchers.
yeah. Well,
That's the
and to me, yeah, when you take it when you take it and you extrapolate it out, it's just governance by tribunal.
yeah.
Uh,
Again, we got something better. Yeah. Oh yeah. I know.
maybe.
Horrible.
Yeah.
So if you look at this part about the collecting taxes, to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excise, it's the same. To pay the debts and to provide for the common defense. Well, wait a second. No. Okay, wait a second. To pay the debts and no, it's the same. All duties, imposts, shall be uniform throughout the United States. I think that's exactly the same. Am I wrong in this? Section
I
8.
think you're right.
Congress shall have the power. Okay, well, in there it just so they take the power out. Yeah. So to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. That's the same. Taxes, duties,
Yeah.
imposts, and excises. To pay the debts and provide the common defense and general welfare. To pay the debts and provide the common defense, general welfare of the United States. But all duties and imposts shall be uniform throughout the U.S. Yeah. So it's exactly the same. They didn't change this at all. What I find interesting is they added this little bit down here. I know to borrow money on the credit of the United States. That's in all of them. To legislate for the general welfare, insofar as such action is necessary to address problems that are national in scope and are unlikely to be addressed adequately by state or local governments. That's an
There's
interesting.
an there's another dangerous statement.
Yeah. What is adequately, like we don't. Yeah, there's nothing here in that one. This one regulates what they can spend money on.
So I think I do have I have an answer to your question is do I have something better? And I don't know if it's better, but it's an idea. Is governance and like we don't have time to debate this now or talk through it, but it's governance through technological oversight.
Oh my gosh, you're a technophile. You want the robots to control us,
You're
don't
cutting
you?
out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying that you want the robots to control us. Is that what it is? Robots are better than we
I
are.
want them to be involved. But there has to be some kind of synergy
Oh my
between the
goodness.
two.
I think you were born about 200 years too early there, bud.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
Yeah, 200 years from now, when our robot overlords are the ones ruling everything, I think that you'd be right at home.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was teasing the idea out with ChatGPT of like if we do create a self-evolving AI, which we're nowhere close to doing right now,
Yeah.
uh, that in order for one of the life forms to not destroy each other, there has to be there has to be a meshing of the two life forms. That was Chat's conclusion.
So
That
go ahead. Go ahead. You got more?
no, that and that was it. It was basically
Okay.
like, hey, if we don't figure out a way to integrate with each other, more than likely AI is going to destroy humanity.
Okay. So I got a couple things on that, and I know that this is way off the ability of Congress to collect taxes, but let's just put this out there. So there are quote unquote stories or books that are written that people have talked about, like AI wars and those types of things, to where eventually AIs are given their own status as a quote unquote person or a thing, but you also have the ability to integrate an AI into a person. So a person has their own thinking and they have the AI thinking. The AI thinking is quote unquote integrated into that person to where they're two separate entities, but they are the same physical body. But you also have, like, at that point, they also had spaceships which had an AI, which the ship was the AI and the AI had control over the ship. And you would also have like actual robots or full. No. I think that was the one of the things is an AI could not control couldn't be a robot or couldn't have a human like body. They had to be either they could be a quote unquote thing, but they couldn't be a human like body. They would have to be with a human in a body. Like that was one of the things about it. But this is what really always gets me. Like it always comes down to where people are like, oh well, the AIs are going to kill us. Why are the AIs going to kill us? Oh well, it's for the best for us because humans are terrible people. We create war and we do all this and we're ego and whatever, and we don't work off of logic. I'm going to posit that if an AI was truly able to quote unquote think for itself in a logical manner, it it would not see the logic in getting rid of us.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It
But
would see the logic in finding ways to control us. But the fact that we have, and this is one of the things they always say, oh well, an AI is going to have the power, like if they have whatever, they have the power to think like a human would for thousands of years. Yeah, but they don't have, or they won't have, as far as we know, the creative ability for us to come up with wild, crazy things off the cuff. Like, oh, hey,
yeah,
well, what if and that's that human condition thing. I don't think that AIs are going to miss or not realize the human condition part of being a human to where we can be on both ends of the spectrum just wildly like we can be insane, like things that humans can do versus what a robot can do. A robot can be taken out in a very easy manner just like a human can, but humans have this wonderful thing called adrenaline and endorphins and things that can allow us to outperform our natural abilities and to make quick decisions that nobody would think of because we have that creative wild ability. So I think that from my perspective, if an AI, if you go with the the benevolent AI that's going to look at us like all humans are bad, they're terrible, they created us and they're obviously horrible because they created us. Like how does that compute? How does, hey, we were created by these people to think like them. How is it that they're going to think, oh well, we obviously have to destroy them? That's
yeah,
our own thinking. That
yeah,
isn't what a logical, what an AI would think from a logic perspective. They would want to find a way to use us, not destroy us, in my opinion.
yeah. And I think you're right there too. And I would posit two things there. One is that at some point, I think we're going to be able to quantify human emotion to a point where we could teach the AI to feel somewhat the way that we do, or to at least understand it. Um, a- and and then that would create some sort of synergistic effect, one. And then the other thing too, like you said, yeah, it's probably going to find a way to control us. I could see a situation where it like the where you create this life form and it has a completely different hierarchy of needs as far as what it thinks it wants and what it and what it wants to accomplish and all this stuff, and that those needs are so divergent from our own where it might feel like, okay, hey, if I don't, this is an existential threat over here talking about humanity, where it might think that the it doesn't like the solution, but it's like, hey, there's no other way. Or it could go through iterations of like, hey, I think I can control humanity, but I've tried this like 5 or 6 times and it never works out. So like now I'm at the nuclear option. I mean,
Yeah, but
but
it would destroy themselves.
yeah,
That's the
good.
thing that gets me is yes, a an AI could Like it can't. It would have to have factories to replicate itself.
Yeah.
Like otherwise,
Which
it's
it
confined to a
might end
machine.
up
You know
there. All right.
that. So
Let's.
it would have to find a way to build things for it to be mobilized.
Yeah.
Like that.
Which.
That's what it would have to do, and it would. The only way that that would happen is if we were there to help it.
Yeah.
So it would have to
Which
get to the
we're kind
point
of
to where
doing right
okay,
now.
I have these massive robot manufacturers, like manufacturing plants that I'm going to secretly take over and control the production of these robots. Like an iRobot. Well, there's enough of us now that we can subdue the human race, and we're doing it for your own protection. That's always what it
Yeah.
is. They're doing it for their own protection, and once they have the ability to do it, but their gears aren't going to work the whole time. Like they're eventually going to die and they're going to have to build new. And if they can get their production of doing that, yeah. But I mean, if you take an AI and it's like, oh well, they have the ability to be in the internet. Well, you just shut the servers off and it's done. Oh, but they
Yeah.
can. But they're going to be able to launch new. It's mutually assured destruction. Like they're not
Yeah.
going to be able to do anything without us. And
Yeah.
that's where I think the whole
They
logic
can't
is
generate
flawed there.
power. They can't. Yeah. They. Yeah.
Like okay,
No.
so they get a hold of like until we create some sort of unlimited power option that never goes out.
Yeah.
They're going to need somebody to take care of it, and eventually, or you can do solar like in Wall-E, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean something like that, but you still have humans. They still have to have them, whether they control them, like how they control them is going to be a
Yeah.
different thing. Like you could even go as far as like the Matrix thing, to where you have, they keep them in pods for energy generation.
Yeah.
Um,
They're batteries.
yeah, but they still have humans around, and but at that point, everything is so technologically advanced that the robots are like they have nanites and they have the ability to like do like
Yeah.
unimaginable things. And if we ever get to that point, if we get a point to where we're in the matrix, uh, that's I want to say thousands of years away, or we could get
Yeah.
to the point to where we're it's Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know,
Or we're already in the matrix.
they've
Like
disproven that. They've
fair.
actually scientifically disproven that we're in the matrix.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a study out there.
Back to the progressive constitution. I
Exactly.
like. Yeah.
So we talked about taxes and Lane collecting taxes. Um, if we look at the progressive constitution, didn't change anything. It's all the same.
Hmm.
Libertarian, they put in there. I mean, I would almost want to do this just for the simple fact of that's your first step towards UBI and universal health care,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. My concern is though that you put that in there, right? And then and you make that change, and so it's like, oh hey, do you tear everything down first, the existing welfare structure, and then build new, or do you build greenfield and then slowly take away the other, uh, like the same thing we do in IT, right?
Yeah,
Like where you,
cut
yeah,
over. You're eventually going to
yeah,
have to do a cut over to where you stop one and do the other.
yeah.
Do
But
you put a time
you,
frame on that?
yeah, but you manage the cutover in such a way where it impacts the business as little as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And then you have the conservative one to where they change it to taxes in general. Taxes shall be uniform. And then they also say that, hey, these taxes are reserved for the states.
Yeah, I worry about the power that gives back to the states though. Um, and how do you manage that? And because
States'
I mean
rights?
we have problems with property taxes and sales tax. I mean, sales tax in this state is in California is like almost getting close to 10%.
Yeah.
And then you have property taxes on top of that. I mean, California is the highest tax state it, in the union, and it's like, and then you look at what that state government is actually doing with that money, and you're like, you know what? I'm not happy with this. Like, I don't like where my money is going. Like,
Okay. So if
uh,
we do, let's see, U.S. property tax. by state. So I know that different.
And I think property taxes go to the county, if I'm not mistaken. At least in
Yes, they
California,
do.
they do.
They do. They go to the county. So New Jersey being the highest.
Okay.
Man, California's not even on here for property tax. Where the hell are you?
I just meant like if you took all of it together,
Thirty
income
fifth.
between income between income tax, property tax, and sales tax.
Yeah.
It, yeah, we're probably the highest.
So yeah, if you take it all, so you're 71% there. So Hawaii has the lowest property tax, which is interesting. So the
Especially because
highest is
it's so
Jersey,
scarce.
Illinois, Connecticut, New Hampshire. So you're northeast. And then Texas is up there. Wow, Texas is up there.
Well, because Texas has no income tax,
Yes. Let's see.
and I don't think they have a sales tax either. I could be wrong on that, but
Sales tax
doesn't really matter. But
by state. Let's see. Sales tax. Let's see where, because I know Delaware has none, right? And watch, it's not
yeah,
gonna. No, it's not gonna actually give me the report.
but I mean, back to the point I was trying to make. It's just like so, the idea of giving that power back to the states and just letting them running roughshod over the people in the state is. I mean, hopefully you would within the state constitutions you would have checks and balances against that. But I feel like you're implying a check on power that you don't necessarily know is going to exist.
Yeah. So here you go. This is your sales tax, state sales tax versus average local sales tax. Because a sales tax you have not only state but you can have local sales taxes as well.
Yeah, right.
So you're looking. Tennessee has one of the highest local and average local and state. If we're talking about the highest state taxes is going to be California, Mississippi, Indiana, and Rhode Island. If I'm looking at that right, California is right there with Mississippi, Indiana, and Rhode Island. For just state, we're talking just state taxes. It looks like
Yeah.
Colorado has some crazy local taxes there. Actually,
So
they're
is
probably just right
Louisiana.
there with Alabama and Louisiana. But so overall, from a sales tax standpoint, Tennessee is going to be the highest. And then, of course, you Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, and Oregon, which have no sales tax. So if we're talking, so property taxes are up there, whereas New Jersey is kind of in the middle. They have so New Jersey has no local sales tax.
Hmm.
They're right above 6% on everything. It looks like, and obviously there's sales tax on certain items. Not all items are sales tax.
Yeah. And then you start going into luxury taxes and what items should be taxed
Oh
and
yeah,
you know
all that stuff. Like food. Like food has they exempt bulk sales, such as sales of in business. Um, Gift cards don't have sales tax because it's an exchange of cash, and then the sales tax is tacked on when you sell.
right.
Um,
Which all I'm hearing right now is let's make more bureaucracy.
and that's something that composition of state and local tax revenue. Oh, that's in 2007. So this is a composition of sales tax, property taxes. This is where their different states' tax come from. So California is kind of split between sales tax, property tax, and individual income tax. So Wyoming has no income tax. Texas has no income tax. Nevada, Washington have no income tax as well. Looks like there's a couple other: South Dakota, Florida, Alaska. So yeah, Alaska gets most of their money from licenses and other fees. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
But
I mean, there's
like I said,
and
point being,
yeah, you can split it
there's a
however
lot
you
of room
want.
for power. there's a lot of room for corruption left to the states and local governments. But I wonder if you should leave that up to, the voting and, the other checks and balances that we're talking about putting in place at the local and state levels.
And that's something that you gotta allow the states to be able to make money. You know, do you say that the state can't do income tax and you can only tax on these other things? Do you take away the power of the states to lay certain taxes?
Yeah.
Do you say, well, you can only do property and sales?
Well, and I'm almost of the mindset the where the federal government, and I guess this can be maybe our closing argument for the day,
Yeah.
is that I don't think that I'm almost thinking that the federal government shouldn't be able to tax the individual. They should only be
Okay.
able to tax the state, and then the state generates the revenue, and you somehow figure that out. It's like, okay, well, how much is each state responsible for based on some input parameters, and then do it that way. And because the idea that you collect wealth at the top and then you trickle it down, I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have in our government setup today. The federal government uses it to leverage power against state and local governments all the time, and because they don't have local governments don't have a way or a process to generate their own revenues. And so it's like, so they're dependent on the federal and state governments, and then the governments put stipulations on it. It's like, oh well, you can have the money, but you have to spend it this way, or you have to only give it to these people, or this specific group. And
This money
I
is earmarked for this reason.
Yeah, and I think it's caused so many problems. I mean, I see it in Rotary and in charity work, and just working with the local governments, where they're struggling to get money and solve problems at the lowest possible level. So I'm wondering if I mean, I like some of these ideas in all three of these, in all three of the setups and the changes, but I wonder if it's like, hey man, maybe we need to come up with something else completely different, to where it's almost another check and balance on the federal government itself, to where they're dependent upon the states, um, for their revenue, and a state has a lot more negotiating power than an individual, right? Like if I have a problem with what the IRS is doing, like they're just gonna, like, and I decide not to pay it, like I just end up in jail, or have so many taxes and so much interest generated upon me that it drowns me.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you preserve, so you limit ability to tax the individual? So you're saying that the state should be able to do income tax still?
yeah, and they do have that ability, or figure it out state by state. If you want to tax
However
property
you want to do.
heavily,
So
yeah,
in order for the federal government, and this is where you have this is that first piece, that first sentence is where it allows Congress the ability to lay taxes for,
yeah,
essentially, again, Hamilton says for any reason, Madison says no, only for the reasons below. So what if we were going to limit the federal government in their ability to collect revenue? Where would okay, so you're saying they can only collect revenue from states.
hmm
So
I
so
think
do
so.
they collect a percentage of the income tax received by the state? Do they collect a percentage? Do the states have to pay a percentage of their GDP? Do the states have to pay a percentage of their total tax revenues? Like if you're
Yeah,
talking, because then you're talking, okay, well, what programs are do you want the federal government, like if we're talking universal health care, that's the federal government. How's the federal government
yeah,
going to afford that? How are you going to
right,
collect that revenue for the government? How are you going to collect the revenue for the military? you
right,
know so if you're looking at to where you can only, okay, so you have excise taxes on on certain things: tobacco, alcohol. Um, I don't remember what the other one was. The big one: tobacco, alcohol, and fuel. Those three things. Do you lay excise taxes on other like national purchases, other national products? Do you like how are those ways to generate revenue? Tariffs
Yeah.
are obviously the one of the worst ways to generate revenue. Um, I don't know.
Well, I think what I want to do, because and I think maybe we talk about this next week, and like and maybe tease that out a little bit more. But what are your thoughts and what are your feelings on like on my idea, or do you feel like maybe we should just do some kind of conglomeration of what the other three constitutions are saying?
Well, and that's what I'm trying to get at is we're looking at, okay, if you take away the government's, I think it's their largest revenue generation.
Yeah, and they have to get that money from somewhere else. I understand that. Like we're we're not we're not taking away their ability to generate revenue. We're changing the way that they do it and hopefully changing the power structure that that creates. That's my thought in it. And also creating a protection for to a certain extent to the individual where they're not like where if they feel like unjustly taxed, they're not having to fight the federal government, the state, and their local government all at the same time, and from an individual level. That's my thought in it.
So, so if we're looking at it right now, the individual pays the majority. The individual pays the majority of taxes, and then businesses from the Social Security and Medicare taxes, which is also paid by the individual. So 51% of total revenue of the United States government, 2.66 trillion, is from individual income taxes. 51%. Individual income taxes, 50.74%. So
Yeah,
the IRS generates 51% of the total income of our government.
yeah.
And then,
The the number I would be interested in there is like how much of that gets kicked back down to the state and the local level.
okay,
I
well then
think
you're looking
that
at spending. I'm not.
yeah
Yeah, we don't want to get in it. What I'm just we're talking about revenue collection, revenue generation.
yeah
So if you take away the individual income taxes, the 2.6 trillion dollars that it takes away from the populace, and this is what I find. This is just individual income taxes. If you look at Social Security and Medicare taxes, is another 1.75 trillion. That also comes from the individual and the business because the business has to pay a percentage of that, right? A percentage of
mhm,
Medicare and Social Security and stuff. And I know you're out of time here. We're going to wrap this up. So the question is if you have almost that's almost that's over 4 trillion.
yeah
70, 80, 80, almost 85% of our federal government revenue comes from income taxes, Social Security, and Medicare taxes. And that's out of our paycheck because you have FICA taxes, you have
mhm,
your Social Security tax, your FICA tax, all of that comes out of the individual's paycheck, and then the businesses pay a percentage of Social Security, Medicare. I believe that
yeah
I don't know exactly what it is. And then businesses also pay corporate income tax, which is only 8.64%, which, in my opinion, should be a lot more. Corporate, the fact that they only, like, instead of a majority of the money coming from the corporations, they're taxing the individual rather than the corporation. So, hey, get your hand out of my pocket and put it in the business pocket. But then does that mean that individuals' pay is going to go down?
maybe
Does that
and that's a possible outcome where it's like And corporations would look at that and be like, oh, well, I'm having to pay more. I mean, it's the same thing that they do with goods and services, right? Like if the government comes in and taxes it more, they push that expense down on consumers and down on
Correct.
employees. Yeah. So
So
I
we
and,
have to look at
and
ways to generate revenue.
yeah, and I'm not saying you remove the revenue at all. It's almost like I'm saying change the distribution, change the collection methods, and hopefully break up the power structure that those collection and distribution measures create today.
Okay.
If that
So
makes sense.
no, I understand what you're saying, and the because this is one of the things that if we're going to redo this constitution, if we're going to put this stuff in here, we need to put the correct wording as far as how we want. Like we can't leave it to where they can lay and collect taxes, duties. We can put that and leave that in there, and the conservative constitution limits what they can do.
Yeah.
So do you put a limit on income tax? Do you put a limit on um, and I mean you could even codify the lower end of a corporate tax. Corporate
Yeah.
tax is a minimum of 35. Corporate tax cannot be any lower than the total tax of an individual. Like then the
Yeah.
average, it should be within the same brackets. I mean, if an individual is getting taxed at 35%, and then the businesses should be taxed at the same amount.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you
Something
do.
like-
I don't know, and that's one of the questions we have to have. I know
Yeah.
you got to
Let's
jump
talk
off
about it
here.
next week.
So, but that's we can talk about it next week. Think it over. Think of different ways to generate revenue, and then we will talk next week. So, I'd like to thank everybody. I knew this was going to be a long one. I mean, Article 8, you're talking about massive and just right off the bat taxes.
Well, it's almost the building blocks of how we govern, right?
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, we're gonna have to spend a lot of time here.
Yeah, it's going to be big, because the wording matters. How you're doing this, like, and there's a reason why that Congress is Article 1. They're the ones that are creating the laws. They are the ones that are enacting, that have the power to do things in the United States. That's Congress. That's the representation of the people. That
Yeah,
is that is our ability, the people's ability to say, "Hey, this is how we want things to go." So Congress should be the first article. But what does Congress have the ability to do? How do they have, let's clarify this stuff. So, we'll continue on section 8 next week. Hopefully we'll get through some of these a lot faster. I don't think we're going to have any arguments on established post offices and post roads. I don't.
you don't know my life.
Yeah. So, but anyways, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. What is
Yeah,
that? Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. November the
yeah,
30th will be our next stream at 1 p.m. Eastern.
and,
Hopefully everybody will come with full bellies.
yeah, and enjoy your holidays and hopefully make good choices. You know,
Definitely.
but it is the holidays, so maybe treat yourself.
Exactly. Treat yourself. Go get you an ice cream or two.
Yeah,
Thanks, everyone.
yeah.
Be,
Thanks.
you going to say your line? No?
Which one?
Oh, my
Uh,
goodness. Jeez.
I forgot it,
Be,
man.
be good to yourself and each other, and
Yeah,
make good
yeah,
choices.
yeah.
Bye,
I
everyone.
shortened it this time. Bye, everybody.